Welcome back to the project. Now, Dave, you have a life lesson for
Yeah,
us.
I learned on the weekend that even if you're one of the best comedians in the world...
Is that you,
No, I'm not
Dave?
talking about myself, all right? I'm actually talking about Chris Rock. If you're one of the best comedians in the world, you can still have a tough crowd. Let's check out Chris Rock at this week's NBA Finals, all right? He's over in LA. He's throwing out some of his best gear. He's got David Spade behind him, backing him up. He's being very, very funny here, but I tell you what, there's one man who's not into it. Kobe Bryant says, whatever you... Just don't talk to me, Chris.
Well, our next guest plays to a much more attentive audience.
For most of us, the mere thought of talking to a ghost is terrifying. But for decades, psychic medium John Edward has made a career for himself doing just that. After landing his own TV show in 2000, Crossing Over with John Edward, he's taken the world by storm, releasing best-selling books and selling out live shows the world over. Not bad for a guy who started out giving readings as a teenager in his grandmother's home.
Please welcome back to the desk, John Edward.
It's great to have you back. I'm going to say that when all my friends hear that you're going to be on the show, they've all got questions for you. And one question a lot of them had was, how long after someone dies does it take before you can communicate with them?
I used to tell people, when I say used to, going back 15, 20 years, that we needed to wait at least 3 to 6 months before somebody, when somebody crossed, at least 3 to 6 months before you went for a reading. I've actually since changed that, and I say we still should probably wait 3 to 6 months before somebody would choose to do this, but not so much for them on the other side, but for us here, because we really have to be in the right place to be able to receive that. And I know from personal experience that when my mom passed when I was 19, I had gotten great messages from a couple other colleagues that I wasn't ready to hear yet.
Can you get quite emotional?
Can you, with your mother, you mentioned your mother, with her, do you get any messages from her now?
I have, but you know what the hard thing is? When you do this for yourself, you don't have the objectivity that you have for a complete stranger. So when I'm working with a complete stranger, I'm actually more confident because I don't know them. So when you actually get information about your own family, you start thinking like, well, I know that. Well, is that them or am I just thinking that? So you have to be able to distinguish the difference between what your actual thoughts are and what you're actually receiving.
Have you ever got a message from for a complete stranger from someone who'd passed and you told the person about this message, but they hadn't realised that person had actually died?
Yes.
You have, really?
I have. Actually, it actually formulated my attack reading mentality that I have with people now, because I had a woman that came to me for a reading, and as I sat with her, I said to her, I have your husband here, and she says, no, you don't. And I said, yes, I do. And she said, no, my husband's at home. I said, well, then you had a previous husband who passed. And she said, no, I don't. And we went back and forth for a while, and finally she slammed her hand on my desk, and she said, listen to me very carefully. I have 2 daughters with this man. If he had passed, I would know. And 2 weeks later, I got a letter from her apologizing because he had already passed. And she not only found out that basically his family didn't like her.
John, is there anything you've ever learned that you've decided not to pass on because it's just too painful?
I have a rule that whatever I see, hear, or feel, I share with the person that I'm sitting with. Regardless, but I also am very, very clear on how I deliver the information, because I'm very, very, very clear on the fact that this is interpretational.
So would you say, look, I'm not sure I should tell you this?
I would say, I'm not sure if I'm interpreting this correctly, but I want you to know this. There's only one time on Crossing Over where I chose not to deliver something in front of the cameras and did it off air, because there was organised crime involved.
Have you ever...
Organised crime?
Wow.
Yes.
Have you ever sat on a bus or somewhere and someone next to you could, it's not an official reading? And
how about a plane?
A plane? Sitting on a plane?
Yes.
So altitude does not affect your gift
Altitude does not affect my ability. And ironically, the woman did not recognize me, so she thought I was picking her up. She thought I was trying to, flirt with her.
You actually said to someone on a plane sitting beside you, I've got someone who wants to talk to you and that person is dead?
Yes.
I would imagine you have to be quite diplomatic when bringing up the afterlife on a plane. People get touchy about that.
I'd ask to move
wait a
seats.
minute. Coming here on the flight, as I was getting ready to board yesterday in L.A., the gentleman said, you'll just take the stairway to heaven that way. And I stopped and I looked at him. I was like, did you really just say that?
You were talking before about organised crime. Have you ever, used your skills to help solve, crimes?
I don't solve anything. I have been pulled into cases, and I always say the following. I give them insights, and what they do with it is up to them. I've been successful with giving them insights, but I've never solved anything.
Do the skeptics worry you?
No, I actually think they play a very important role, specifically now, because you can't turn the television on in the States without having some type of paranormal TV show that's on.
Yep.
And most of it's all fear-based and fear-driven, so I think it's important to have the other side of it.
Do you make errors? Do you, when you're doing a reading, you go,
Absolutely.
hang on, and would you tell people,
Absolutely.
I've got that wrong?
Absolutely. I say all the time, it's like, this is interpretational, and it's what I'm seeing, hearing, and feeling. And sometimes they're the ones who have to let me know that, no, it's not that, it's this.
Can you do animals? Because when I was 15, my schnauzer Max, who has passed, he stole one of my Game Boy games and buried it in the garden, and I'd kind of like to find it. Can you do that sort of
It's
thing?
actually really funny you just said that. He's a symbol. That's a symbol for me. My aunt had a schnauzer named Max.
Right.
So
What do you mean by a symbol?
Well, I get references, so if I see certain things, I'll know. Like, if I see Max, I know that I'm either talking about a grey dog or somebody whose name is Max.
Can we just
So-
establish that, Charlie, you actually had a schnauzer called Max?
Yeah,
It's not
that's
a
right. I'm
it's
not making it up.
That's really, really funny, and that's actually really a symbol for me. Like, pink roses mean an expression of love. If I see a white flower, it means happy birthday, congratulations. If I see Max, it means somebody had a schnauzer, or they had a grey terrier, or that there's a Max in the family.
But can you read then what the
Yeah,
animal's
you
trying
can
to...
actually make connections with animals that have crossed.
So where's my Game Boy game?
What's the easiest? Is an animal that's easy to read? Are dogs the easiest animals that you can connect with?
No, it's a matter of energy. You know, anybody who right now that's watching this, who has a pet that they're very, very connected to, has a built-in communication with that animal. And I think the guy's name is Rupert Sheldrake. He wrote a book about how your dogs know you're coming home before you do. Like, it knows. They just know. It's energy.
Well, it's intriguing stuff. And if you want to see John's tour, tickets for his tour later in the year are on sale now. And you'll be on the Circle tomorrow and for the rest of the week, so tune in there as well. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.